Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joel True and Love. Here, to bring you another AEW Dynamite review for New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve edition of Dynamite. Um, yeah, it was an emotional as you can tell the show, but so. For those who don't know, those who didn't get the news, over the weekend, um, John Brodie Lee, aka John Huber, uh, passed away at the age of 41. Due to a lung issue, which was uh, described by his wife. Um, so it was not COVID related. Of course, it was originally supposed to be New Year's Smash Part 1 or Night 1, but The Right Thing by Tony Khan scratched the card, and tonight we had celebration of Brodie Lee, and in his honor, they still had a pretty solid show. Um, um, you know, many wrestlers, John Moxley, Wardlow, Darby Allin, Kingston, they all shared their sides, their stories about Brodie Lee, and yeah, uh, we had Brodie Lee's wife, we had his sons in attendance. Of and the best way in his honor, they had a member of the Dark Order in every one of the matches tonight. One other thing before I get into the review about Brodie Lee, John Huber. Um, for years, I watched him in WWE. From 2013 and so on, with the Wyatt family when they started in NXT but then jumped to the main roster. They had a bunch of notoriety. At the time, I wasn't really in tune with NXT. It was not till 2014 that I was accustomed to NXT, but these three came from there. Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan. And all were forces, all made names for themselves. Yes, obviously they weren't all pushed correctly, but that's another story. But the match, I think of Brodie Lee the most when it comes to WWE. A match I won't forget is the Wyatt family versus the Shield, Elimination Chamber, 6-man tag. Was a great 6-man tag team match. That was 6 young guys on the main roster trying to make names for themselves. And indeed, they had a hell of a match, and there's that. Of course, Brodie Lee came to AEW in March. He was supposed to debut in front of Rochester, his hometown, in front of a full stadium. But because of COVID, that was not to be. And still, as the Exalted One, he brought seriousness and a vibe to the Dark Order this year. And yeah, now Dark Order, they're still very talented, and they can still be a very good faction in AEW. But this is definitely a blow, like Moxley said in his promo. With that being said, getting into review now. So, of course, the entire AEW roster started the show out on the stage area with Brodie Lee's family that were there. His son, Brodie Lee Jr., wore a Dark Order mask, which was nice to see. And as they rung the bell 10 times, and you could obviously see on their faces how distraught they all were. Sean Spears, Britt Baker, the members of the Dark Order. Yeah, you could all see it on them that, yeah, how much Brodie Lee meant to all of them. Of course, now the only one you couldn't really see was Omega, but he was wearing a mask, and you could still tell that he, like, all of them were, distraught. But that was how the show started off. Then Moxley was the first of many where talk about Brodie Lee. His stories, he talked about how they would take a day for granted, how this was a soccer style kick to the gut of the wrestling community, like them all. Yeah. Looked like he was in his home, I bet. But yeah, this was one of the many vignettes of people sharing stories about Brodie. Then we got to the first match of the night. We had the Hardy Party, Matt Hardy and Private Party, going up against the Young Bucks and Colt Cabana of the Dark Order. And you could obviously see in Colt Cabana's face that, one of the matches that you were hoping to see was Brodie Lee versus Colt Cabana. And unfortunately, that didn't materialize. But, yeah, Colt Cabana, Brodie Lee. And another point was throughout the night you saw these black armbands on numerous wrestlers, which said for Brodie. But I mean, it was weird taking notes on these matches, but this was towards the end, solid match. A side effect by Matt Hardy, 4-2. Then there was a hot tag to Colt. He cleaned house. When the Flying Apple for 2 was an assisted crucifix on Colt for a near fall. Was a gin juice and shooting star combination by Hardy Party for a near fall. Then to end the match, it was a Meltzer driver and Superman for the win for Colt Cabana and Young Bucks. And the Dark Order members are 1-0 to start the night. Then, next guy we heard from talk about Brodie Lee was Darby Allin. And Darby, you can always get the sense about him how that he talks in that silent like tone, but you can tell in his voice it was emotional. He talked about the first time he met Brodie after his debut in AEW and how they just got along. And he said how the one guy he wished he could have wrestled in AEW was Brodie Lee. And he was just distraught. And he said Brodie Lee was one guy he wished could have wrestled. So there. Then we had the Dark Order. There's Sue Grayson, Evil Uno, and Lance Archer, who Archer, he was wearing the white tank and the big jeans, aka Luke Harper's former attire, big rig, from his early days. His former gear, and then Kingston, Butcher and Blade came out, and Kingston, he took the mic from Justin Roberts. He said, Brodie, I love you, I miss you. Now to get all the nicest out of the way, he told Dark Order and Lance Archer that the Dark Horse is nothing without him. They're gonna prove it, cowards. So, getting towards the end of the match, Archer, he really took over. He landed that old school like moonsault from the top rope onto his opponent. A big pounce to Busher, landed a frog splash for near fall. Jake the Snake Roberts was at ringside, and Kingston looked over at Jake right before he did. He landed a DDT while looking at Jake Roberts, the pretty much best guy to hit the DDT in the book. Then Dark Order and Archer won with the fatality on the blade for the win. And they cut to Brodie Lee Jr. and at ringside. He was with Alan Angels, Bexham, number 5, the whole night. It was good feeling. Yeah. So then after we had we had first slideshow narration of Brodie Lee. Many wrestlers talked about him. Arn Anderson, Bryce Rensburg. Bryce Rensburg, he got really emotional talking about Brodie. He talked about how they reconnected in AEW and to talk about life. And that if there was a Mount Rushmore of wrestling dads, Brodie would be on it. And yeah, emotional moment. Yeah. Then we get to the next match. It was Hangman, Adam Page, John Silver's, Alex Reynolds versus MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. This match, with all the emotion and all the sadness, this match was probably the highest point of the night, and I'll tell you why. So, part of Brodie Lee's gimmick on BT and Dark Order was throwing papers. So, Alex Reynolds and John Silver's, right before the match, they took papers out of their pockets and threw them at Santana Ortiz right before the match. And same with Hangman, Adam Page. Just hysterical. So getting later into the match, this just shows how good MJF is at being a heel and how good he is. So, MJF, he was, because Brodie Lee Jr. with Angels, number 5, were at ringside. MJF was saying something at Brodie Lee Jr., he took his mask off, and then Alan Angels, I'm guessing, he told him and Brodie Lee Jr. as MJF turned around and whacked MJF in the head with the candlestick, and it was a good moment, despite all the emotion, even with Son getting back into the match. There was a Torak bomb by John Silver's for 2. Then Suicida MJF, he hit the Heat Seeker, and then Santana Ortiz followed up with a powerbomb super kick combination for 2. Then Reynolds, Silver, and Hangman followed up with a stunner German buckshot lariat combination for a near fall. And then an homage to Brodie Lee. John Silver's, he did the fuck up mustache symbol, and then hit Brodie Lee's discus lariat for the win. Afterwards, you can see John Silver's emotional crying on the mat, as you'd expect. Then after match, Wardlow, he came in the ring to attack Silver and Reynolds. But then out of nowhere, Eric Rowan, Eric Redbeard came out. Luke Harper, Brodie Lee, John Huber's longtime tag team partner in WWE. The Wyatt family, the Bludgeon Brothers. He came out, thwarted off Wardlow, falling off to the back, and then embraced the members of the Dark Order. Hangman, hey, holding up a sign that said, miss you, brother, see you down the road. And Redbeard, Rowan, you can see he was emotional just like the rest. Yeah. Another good moment. So, and next we had Kingston talk about Brodie Lee. He said, Brodie, John, I'm going to miss you busting my balls. I'm going to miss you, or miss yelling at you when you're wearing that stupid jacket. Calling you Harry Potter when you said you were rich. And he sent a message to Brodie's kids. He said, your father's not gone. He said, as long as you remember him and you remember his teachings, that his memory will live on. So there was that. As emotional as you'd see a Kingston, who's probably one of the realest guys you would ever see in the wrestling world. So then we had Conti and Anna Jay of the Dark Order versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. So this was not really much, but so in the end, so Miro, he came out with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. You can see with his head being down, he was, as you expect, it is hard for him to be out there, but he was out there with Kip and Penelope, but Tay Conti and Anna Jay, they won. Anna Jay, she made Penelope Ford tap out with the Queen Slayer sleeper hold. Afterwards, Conti and Jay embrace, cried. Afterwards, Britt Baker, she was in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and Britt Baker said, that I'm sick of the conspiracies. This was all rigged. That this was a big rig. And then she winked to the heavens, saying that, Brodie Lee's former name was the Big Rig. So there was that, and she was about to leave, but Thunder Rosa attacked her from behind. They brawled, kind of playing up their feud, and they're gonna face each other in night 2 of New Year's Smash in 2 weeks. So there's that. Then we had Chris Jericho. He talked about Brodie Lee. Talked about a time they were in Saudi Arabia. And Jericho was in his hotel room, and he was like, "What is this sticker or whatever that's on the ceiling?" And then Brodie's like, "That's not a sticker. That's an arrow to Mecca." So, with that point, Jericho talked about Brodie's intelligence, how his joyfulness, and he talked about how his dog, one of his dogs, not really friendly to many people, but one day when Brodie came over to his house, his dog met him with kindness, and his dog could tell what a good person Brodie was. So there was that. Then we got to the main event. We had Team Taz versus Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and Tim of the Dark Order. This was Brodie Lee Jr., his 3 favorites, Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and Tim, as pairing, and that's how this team came together. So this was Orange Cassidy gave Brodie Lee Jr. at ringside an Orange Cassidy high five. But yeah, so this match was as good as it could get. A lot of moving pieces. Was powerbomb by 10. Spears by Sarks for near fall. Spin DT by Orange. DT by Sarks for near fall. Orange Punch. At the end was an Orange Punch, Crossroads, and a Spine Buster by 10 on Starks for the win. Afterwards, Darby Allin and Sting emerged to thwart off Team Taz. Yeah, there was that. So that was the main event, and they finished with one final tribute to Brodie Lee. So Cody Rhodes was in the ring. He mentioned a quote. He talked about how Brodie Lee's image and his legacy will live on. So he introduced Brodie Lee Jr. and he walked in the ring with Brodie's wife, or his mother. 10 also came out, and Tony Khan also came out. Brodie Lee Jr., he put Brodie's boots in the ring. Then Tony Khan took the microphone and he said, all due respect for to Cody Rhodes, Brodie Lee, best TNT champion there was. He handed Brodie Lee's former TNT championship belt. He said TNT champion for life. And Brodie Lee's yeah, there was that with his music playing. That was how the show went off the air, and they did him justice. They did the right way. Great way to honor Brodie Lee. Sad that he's gone too soon. There were many matches in AEW still to be had. And there were a few mentions I missed with Wardlow and Matt Hardy. Wardlow talked about how he was in Cody's locker room when Brodie Lee beat Cody for the TNT Championship, and he said, "Thank you for the best night of my career," Brodie said to Cody. And Matt talked about Brodie's gracefulness. I mean, not really much to say other than they did right. So thank you all. Also, so next week will be night one of New Year's Smash with Kenny Omega, first Ray Phoenix in the main event for the AEW World Championship. Then 2 weeks from now, we have Darby Allin versus Brian Cage for the TNT Championship. Thunder Rosa for Britt Baker. FTR versus Jurassic Express and many more. Miro versus Chuck Taylor. Yeah, but thank you for joining me. If you're new, like and subscribe. Sorry for being a little choked up, but the emotional, nonetheless, episode, the Dynamite, the celebration of Brodie Lee. So, thank you for joining me. Like and subscribe, click on that bell. I'll see you next week. In 2021 for sports review topics. But until then, Happy New Year. All be safe and see you next week.